This is the Master Chief in Halo 3, a design we know and love. This is Marcus Leto's high-resolution Mark V armor, imported into Halo 3 Root Revamp, a mod created by Nate Endo. There's much more Nate Endo has done for this mod, but we must take a detailed look at the Mark V beauty. How cool it is to use Marcus Leto's updated design from photos online to a 3D model in Halo 3. The armor looks real and tangible. It has that simplistic look, and in an interesting way, seems to be how many of us remember the Mark V armor from Halo Combat Evolved, despite the fact we never saw details like this in the original Halo from 2001. When I was young, I wondered what all these lights meant on the Chief's backpack, and now as an adult with higher resolution, I still wonder. That's part of the mystique about Chief's armor. I recognize the pouches along the waistline, I could figure out what those are for, but there's just enough ambiguity to really make me believe I am looking at armor from 500 years into the future. You can also notice higher resolution details, down to the reflection in the Chief's visor. While this is awesome, this is a detail that is in the Xbox 360 retail version of Halo 3, as seen here. So it's cool to know that we are not missing any details like this in this Mark V armor. If you look closely, you can notice the reflection in real time. I believe it's important that as we see things in higher resolution, we retain details that your average player will probably never notice. As you combat enemies throughout this entire campaign, it's fun to get a glimpse of the Master Chief's armor when reloading the various weapons. You can notice the material in between the ridges of the armor pieces, the scratches and burn marks. It all looks really good. I like how the light shimmers off of the various angles of the brutish Mark V armor, and the armor blends in so well with the Halo 3 environment. Marching forward, you can notice Marcus Leto's initials on the bottom of both boots, and each boot has different grime and scratches. It's not a mirrored texture. So when your friend playing as the Arbiter is trailing, they can get a glimpse of who made the armor that's leaving them in the dust. You'll also notice the compression of these boots in stride. The simplistic design makes this detail effect more prominent. It's as if I can feel my foot within this boot, and that's why details matter so much in video games. You feel more connected to the in-game world. Speaking of moving forward, you know those dreaded Cortana messages that slow your cadence and blot your screen? Well, the slowdown and screen effects are removed to include the grave mines, but you will still hear the dialogue play. This is a nice concession.
Could you sacrifice me to complete your mission? Could you watch me die?
In fact, I think it's creepier when the player is maintaining their cadence and then hears Cortana's voice. It's almost a moment of, did I really hear that? As opposed to the gameplay being slowed down and Cortana's face all over the screen. Now, going back to the visor's reflection, any type of explosion, from a grenade to a weapon's muzzle flash, you'll see the effect translated into the visor's surface. The barrel's recoil will reflect movement of the muzzle flash onto the visor. It's a neat detail, and it's nice to see the Mark V armor get this type of love, which retains Halo 3's reflection effects. You'll get to admire this Mark V armor in all of the cinematics throughout the campaign. They did a fantastic job importing this model into the game, giving us something to admire when you're not actively engaging with the Covenant and Flood. There's a long list of modifications that is found on the Steam download page in the description of this video, so you can go ahead, download this, and play it tonight. But Nate Endo has worked on the brute permutations for a year now for this mod. The brutes look better than ever. Stick around. We've got details to go over.
truth and the covenant, the flood. It's finished.
Not yet. So the brutes in Halo 3 retail, they look cool, but Nate Endo pays attention to detail. Referencing Bungie's brute concept art for Halo 3, Nate Endo designed high-ranking and specialized brutes to reflect a more interesting and unique look. In retail, fans have criticized the Halo 3 brute permutations to lack discernment between ranks. There's numerous shades of blue and some gold. Taking a look here at the retail version of the brute captain. Interestingly, the brute's armor does not use textured lighting. The textures are in the game files, however they go unused. So Nate Endo noticed that detailed discrepancy and applied the textured lighting to the brute's armor you can see here. Much better looking. Going back to retail. No, this is not one of those Mandela effects. Even on the Xbox 360 version of Halo 3 retail, you can see that the textured lighting is not used. When the brute's armor sustains light impact, the shade of the teal becomes more intense. In retail, the brute captain's armor lights would turn white when it sustains impact. Not a huge deal, but a small detail, which makes the Revamp version more aesthetically pleasing and more in line with the armor itself. When the armor sustains major damage and is about to fail, the lights turn to an intense blue. Looks good. Now let's shift over to bump mapping higher resolution textures and parallax. Essentially, bump mapping and parallax helps create a sense of depth. You can see here, the retail version has low resolution textures for the elaborate armor design. In the Revamp version, you get a sense of depth with the higher resolution textures, and here is an example of parallax. Panning the camera, it looks like there are small ridges within the armor plate, and the bump mapping assists in applying shadows to what seems to be the ridges. It's really just a two-dimensional texture on the armor plate itself. But when you're running around, blasting and relaxing, it sure does not look like it's just a two-dimensional texture. Brute Revamp also makes the gauntlets look awesome, utilizing the bump mapping and parallax. Here is a brute chieftain, hanging like a monkey on the side of a phantom. When it comes to the ranks in Brute Revamp, they have been simplified and made more distinct between each other. Brute Chieftain donned with red and gold. The Chieftain is going to be the toughest brute you'll fight, typically surrounded by their posse of captains, and they're certainly dressed in their beautiful bump mapping and parallax as well. Being shown on screen now is a War Chieftain from the retail version. They look cool, but even on the Master Chief Collection, they utilize lower resolution textures and lack the parallax that Nate Endo has put forth in Brute Revamp. The Chieftain is placed in locations the retail War Chieftain would normally be seen, commanding large infantry units with heavy vehicles. You can notice the diamond patterned undergarment looks three-dimensional in Brute Revamp. In Brute Revamp, this is the Warrior, donned in gray and gold. And the Warrior is wearing Nate Endo's customized gauntlet. That looks awesome. I've always liked the jetpack Brute helmets. In the higher resolution and various color schemes, they look even better. Now let's move around to a small detail at the back of the Brutes. While this is a Brute minor that you see on screen right now, you can see this with all different ranking Brutes. This piece of what looks to be leather or some sort of softer fabric is actually supposed to be a metal plate to protect the Brute's tailbone, and it's a rather flat looking texture. It lacks Halo 3's retail shiny metal texture. Now in Revamp, this time it's a Brute Major, we see, oh, he's doing a big stretch there, but we whip around the back and we can see the updated texture. it's more convincing that it's metal. In this angle, it's being blocked by the Major's lumbar armor plate, and it looks a little funny when the Brute is in stride, but you can see that metal shine to it. Here is an example of a Brute Minor with no lumbar plate. You can see it rides further up the spine than what we were able to see on the Major, and this piece matches the metal armor texture of the shoulders, neck, helmet, and the armor for the knees and hands. Nate Endo did a fantastic job illustrating to us what is actual armor plating that's metal and what is not. The bump mapping and parallax makes even this piece look really good. This communicates well with all of the other metal objects the Brutes use. Much like the Master Chief's updated Mark V armor we saw earlier, the Brute's armor has a sense of clarity and more realism. Going back to the retail Halo 3 version, we can see the low resolution texture for different Brute ranks. Another thing that has always bugged me since the release of Halo 3 is how the Brute armor in retail version just explodes off of the Brute once you eliminate them. No matter how heavy and elaborate the armor is, it just poof disappears, and so does the debris on the ground. I know this is supposed to translate to the player the Brute is weak, but it could have been done better with having armor come off in pieces. Stripping away armor translates depleting the Brute's health, to include the blood splatters all over the floor and walls. Imagine instead a berserking Brute with pieces of armor that has fallen off. That would be terrifying. And cool. Thankfully, Nate Endo has remedied this problem by allowing the helmet to either stay on if the Brute is eliminated with body shots, as seen here for this captain. There's no reason for the helmet to fly off too, but let's say you're aiming for the head. The helmet can be shot off and will remain in the dirt just like its former companion. It is also possible for the helmet to be shot off, but the Brute could still live. Of course, that makes them an easy one-shot, but that small detail brings more believability to the game. Another detail to mention is the alternative Brute faces. The Brute Minors will not have facial hair. The Brute Majors and higher, on the other hand, they are of older age and will have facial hair. The senior ranking Brutes, like this warrior here, will have gray hairs. They've seen a lot of wild things. When it comes to the Stalkers, they look menacing. What's even better, Nate Endo modeled them after Bungie's concept art seen here. The Stalker variant came out looking really sharp. If you like what you've seen so far in this video, go ahead and give this mod a download by clicking on the link in the description, and give this video a like. That will help get more eyes on from Halo fans like you and me, who enjoy things down to the little details. And it helps support the mod authors in which I showcase their mods on my channel. Your support here helps them continue making awesome experiences for us.